Duda, você está falando muito. You guys, please move up. Don't be on. You guys in the back. The Brazilian crew.
Adelante, joven. Se tiene que sentar adelante. Sí, porque es parte del programa. Yeah, just a little. It's recording, right? Yeah.
Be present to the battery time. So it'll tell you
It's 82 minutes.
82 minutes. So
Yeah.
the reason we set it up there is so you can
I'll
plug it
connect
in.
it.
Here's the charger.
Okay.
Whose seats are these here? Those two. How you guys doing? Was this running like great? We're just waiting on a few people to come from the bathroom.
Tá falando muito.
Eu? Alright guys, since we're all here, let's get started. Who's excited for session 2? Session 2 is called the power of choice. How we use choice to be the artists of our lives. We all are the artists of our lives, I believe. My name is Daniel Mirabel. A little bit about me is I started a real estate development company with Brenly. Been in real estate for a while. It's in the back. Been in real estate for a while. Love what I do. I love connecting with people. I was born in Puerto Rico, but to Dominican parents, so that's always a confusion. Sometimes I'm, more Puerto Rican. Sometimes I'm more Dominican, depending on where I'm at. This is my mother here, the hood. So the reason I chose the topic, the power of choice, is because I believe that we all have the ability to be the artists of our lives. And what that means is that we all wake up in the morning with a paintbrush in our hand. And that paintbrush is the attitude that we bring to the day. How many of you guys know what a canvas is? Anybody want to share definition? Jackie,
It's a blank slate.
It's a blank slate.
It's basically a blank, I guess I don't know how to describe a canvas. Blank material that it takes time to stretch and put into your little box. And I have a lot of artist friends, so.
Okay.
But blank, something blank.
Something blank, I like it.
Great.
Blank material, whatever you look at it as,
Okay. Those are both great. One more thing that I just forgot to mention, we're gonna do a 2-clap. I'm gonna show you guys right now what a 2-clap looks like. So the 2-clap goes like this. All right, follow me. 1, 2, 3. Great, do a 2-clap. Everybody give her a 2-clap. All right, so 2-clap for those 2 answers. 2-clap, guys. For today, and for the rest of our lives and our existence, a canvas is going to be the blank slate that we wake up with. It's going to be our day, our relationships, the way we can just start the day off clean. And the paint is going to be our attitude that we bring to that canvas. Like I mentioned, every day we wake up and it's clean, wiped off slate. How many of you guys have ever heard of the quote? It's a quote by Charles Schwimmer, and the quote goes something like, 10% of life is what happens to me, and 90% of life is how you react to it. And that quote is very powerful. Can I get somebody to share what that quote means or a good interpretation of it by raising your hand?
I think maybe when there's a tragedy that happens, let's say there's a death in the family, you can either dwell on it for the rest of your life, or you can look at it as a positive and in some way help other people that are going through that instead of dwelling on it.
That's good. A canvas, like I mentioned, could be painted on with our attitude, right? So you can paint it blue, cold, angry, sad, happy, smile. Or you can paint it stressful. Like, I mean, really stressful. Like stressful, so stressful, it's like, ah. And has anybody ever had like a stressful day? Good, I'm glad you guys are still honest. I saw somebody who's not raised your hand. I guess you guys are like in utopia. Have any of you guys ever had a stressful day and it wasn't even your fault? Like, it wasn't your fault at all?
It's never my fault.
Right. So, for example, let's say we walk out of here today and your car has a boot on it, right? How in the world do you expect to get a boot on your car here? But it just happened. Maybe it was a mistake. By no fault of your own, that's a circumstance that's been dealt to you. Or maybe you're going out with a couple of friends and they expect you to pay for the meal. You invited them, right? And you have maybe $50 in your account. You don't have much. But that gym membership that's on auto pay. Can anyone relate to that? You have $50 and that gym membership that's on auto pay takes the money right out, and you canceled it, but they just never did it. Or you went to the doctor, you thought you had a cold, you had a cold for a while, but in reality, it wasn't a cold. It was something much more serious. Those are very, very stressful situations. And it really is about how you paint it at the end of the day. There are people out there that were born without limbs, were born without parts of their body, and they're able to just dominate their lives. I have a story that I want to share. It's about one Christmas when I was about 7 years old. And on that Christmas, well, most Christmases we go out to my brother's girlfriend's house. This is when I was 7 years old. And that house used to be like the house. The music was always great. I had all my little friends there. The food was always amazing. And this Christmas was like the same thing. Like, it was so good that the cookies, the chocolate chip cookies baking in the oven, they warmed up the whole house. You smelled the cookies. It was just that kind of cozy feeling again. Went to the park with my other friends, ate great food. But at the end of that day, and it was Christmas, at the end of that day when little Danny's running to the Christmas tree to get his gift, there's nothing there for me. I had a giftless Christmas. Nobody gave me a gift. None at all. And as a little kid, that affected me. I always thought that Christmases were about gifts. Yeah, family was in there, but gifts, right? You guys, how many of you guys like Christmas and receiving gifts? By a show of hands. So that Christmas, I didn't receive anything when I was at that house. And on my way back home, as if not receiving any gifts was enough, the back of my brother's window wouldn't go up. So it was like 25 degrees outside. It was freezing. So here I am, 7 years old, just no gifts, getting all this wind to my face. It wasn't fun. And it was just miserable at the time. It was just like, oh my God, how could it get any worse? But we stopped, we fixed the window situation, we put tape or whatever it was. And then something magical happened on that stop. On that stop, I realized that Christmas wasn't just about gifts. That Christmas was about spending time with my family and friends and the people that I loved, honestly. So when I went back in the car, I shared with my brother, like, yeah, whatever, cool. And we're driving home. Their house was about an hour and a half away, so we had a drive to go. When I got home, I just wanted to see my mother. I kind of got over the fact that I didn't get any gifts. It was over. I wasn't going to get anything else. So I just wanted to see my mother, and when she came late, by the way. She worked until like midnight. And at the time, I was like dying when I got home. I was dying to go to sleep. And when she got home and I heard those jingles on that door, I was just so excited. And I was so excited to see her. The gifts were like way gone, long gone. They weren't mine anymore. So yeah, I was so happy to see her. So she comes, she opens the door, and there she is. I was so happy to just see her. But guess what? She brought 2 gifts. It was like this really big remote control car that I always wanted. It was one of those big ones, the one that had the 3 gears, and they opened the doors, and the trunk opened. Yeah, it was a new, I will never forget that gift. It was a new bright car, Porsche 911, 1998 or something. Really, really cool. And with that, she brought me a G.I. Joe toy to go with it. So I loved G.I. Joes at the time, and it was just like, wow. But the powerful thing about the story is that I made a decision on my way back home that Christmas. And the decision that I made was to be in gratitude and to be grateful for what I did have that day. Now, in the beginning of the day, I painted my canvas with jealousy, anger. I didn't get any gifts. I was entitled. I felt like somebody broke a promise to me that they didn't get me a gift. But by the end of the day, since I made that choice in the back of that car, I was so okay with just seeing my mother. She could have came with a box of coal, an empty box, or with 50 gifts. It didn't matter. In the back of that car that day, I made a choice that I was going to be grateful for what I had. I was going to be happy with who I was with. And that really changed my perception on Christmas as a whole, as spending time with my family. I don't know if it affected you as much as it did me, but that meant a lot. Thank you. And since I made that choice, I was happy to just see my mom. And every day we all have choices like that to make. Things happen that are out of our control. Like the quote says, 90% of what happens is how we paint the situation really. It's the attitude that we bring to it. We could have, or I could have brought, an attitude that would have ruined Christmas for the rest of my life. I could have been angry. I could have not have wanted to see my mom at that point. But at that point, that choice did change my life. And let's go into the first exercise here today. I want to assign new buddies. A lot of people, or a couple of people, stepped out. So if your buddy is still here, look around the room and please raise your hand. And okay, raise your hand if you don't have a buddy. Keep your hands raised, please. If you don't have a buddy. So there's 4. Vanessa and Rosani. You guys are okay. And Steve, you're gonna join Vanessa and Rosani. Oh. You're gonna join Steve. Alright, so can somebody read number 1? Somebody volunteer? Lynette?
Think of a situation you are unhappy with.
Number 2, anyone?
List the feelings you get when you are in that situation.
So, for example, the situation that I was unhappy with was that I didn't get any gifts at Christmas. The feelings that I got was, I felt